Right. To start the supportive factor session, can I request everyone to say sadhu?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yato nidanang bhikkhu purisang papancha sanya sankha samuda charanti. Etache nati abhinandi tabbang abhivadi tabbang ajjosi tabbang esevanto raganusayanang esevanto patiganusayanang esevanto ditthanusayanang esevanto vichikicchanusayanang esevanto mananusayanang esevanto bhavaraganusayanang esevanto avijjanusayanang esevanto dandadana sattadhana kalaha viggaha vivada tuam pe sunyang musavadana ettake papake akusala dhamma apariseso nirujjanti ti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, I'm 100% sure that you have understood 100% what I just recited. So that's very easy for me to proceed. Anyway, if I may give the direct translation of what was just recited, is the Blessed One says, Bhikkhu, as to the source through which the perceptions and notions born of mental proliferations beset a man, if nothing is found there to delight in, welcome and hold to, this is the end of underlying tendency to lust, end of underlying tendency to aversion, end of underlying tendency to views, end of underlying tendency to doubt, end of underlying tendency to conceit, end of underlying tendency to desire for being or becoming, end of underlying tendency to ignorance. This is the end of resorting to rods and weapons, of quarrels, brawls, disputes, recrimination, malicious words, and false speech. Here, these evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Such a wonderful analogy, such a wonderful equation, such a wonderful path. So it is easier said than done. However, if I may remind where this was taken from, this is taken from a discourse called Madu Pindika, in other words, honey ball discourse. So at the end of this discourse, the name was given, that name of the discourse was honey ball because it was so soothing for the audience that such a thing was explained by the Buddha, and such a thing was brought forward by the Buddha. So this happens when he was in Kapilavatthu in a park called Nigrodha, and after his meals, he has gone to the day's abiding, and after entering the great wood, he has sat down at the root of a bilwat sapling and just to take a rest. And then at the same time, there has been another person in the park who has been exercising or going for a walk. And he has come close to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings and stood at one side, leaning to his stick, and asked the Blessed One, what does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? So it's, as I reminded you in the previous sessions, this is a funny way of meeting and having an exchange with the Blessed One. You pay respect and sit down to one side. But here he has not done that. He has held his chin on the stick and then standing and just ask him, what are you talking about? Simply. Because those days in India, there have been so many isms, so many theories, so many assertions by so many people. So therefore, Dandapani thought Buddha is also someone like that. So therefore, he has just asked, what is your theory? What are you talking about going from place to place? And he has given a wonderful answer. He has said, in the world with its gods, its maras, its brahmas, in this generation with the recluses and Brahmins, its princes and its people, I proclaim no quarrel with anyone, detached from sensuality, without perplexity, shorn of worry, free from any becoming, and no slightest underlying perceptions that above would reverse rather. So it is something that was unexpected by Dandapani. He did not understand head or tail of what Buddha said. And he was asking what he is proclaiming, and he says, my proclamation is that I don't fight, and I'm not attaching to sensuality. And I don't have any doubts of what I'm talking about or what I'm doing. And I don't want to become anybody. And I don't have any suspicion that or any perception that what I said would reverse. So he could not understand, and he made all possible facial expressions and pulling his tongue out and making funny faces from his lips, and he has mocked Blessed One, and he has vanished. And then he has gone to the monks and told the monks that something like this happened. And then Blessed One said, this is what I said. And then even the monks could not understand what the Blessed One was talking about. And then everyone was looking at each other. And then one curious monk asked Bante, can you simply explain what you are talking about? What do you mean by this? How can we do this? Then only the Blessed One gave this particular stanza that I just recited. And he is now talking to bhikkhus, and he says, as to the source through which the perceptions and norms of mental proliferations beset a man. So we usually have a continuing series of thoughts going on. We don't know. When we live, when we do our day-to-day activities, if you are not practicing mindfulness and if you have not advanced to some extent, you don't know that these things are at least exist, right? So therefore, it's like an undercurrent that goes in rivers, that goes in seas and things like that. There is some thought wave going on all the time. And it is called Prapancha Sanya Sanka Samudaya Charanti, and English term for it is perceptions and notions born of mental proliferations. And when these things happen, the Blessed One says, if nothing is found there to delight in, and if in those thought processes, if there is nothing that you like, and if you don't welcome any of those things, if you don't hold on to any of those things, and they don't have any strength to stand up on their own feet, and therefore that becomes the end of underlying tendencies. I'll explain to you in a little while, because there are a few newcomers what underlying tendencies are. He says that becomes the end of underlying tendency to lust, aversion, views, so on and so forth. And he has given few of them, and about 7 of them, if I'm right. And we have discussed now quite a bit of them. And last time we discussed about conceit. And today we will have to discuss about desire for becoming. You call it bhava raga in Pali. So before going on to bhava raga or a desire for becoming, the underlying tendency to desire for becoming, I would like to explain what underlying tendencies are, although I have explained few times in the past. When we take defilements, defilements are having different layers. And the basic defilement is the most gross. Defilement is the transgressional defilements. Transgressional defilements are those defilements, and if you do anything physically or verbally wrong, at least two people will be involved, two people will know it, such as or either two people or two living beings, such as killing an animal, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying and intoxication. More than one person would know. So therefore, they are called transgressional defilements. And those transgressional defilements are easy to understand. And the next level of defilements is if when you have some sort of management, monitoring over transgressional defilements, in other words, physical and verbal deeds, or unacceptable physical and verbal deeds, then you will be having an opportunity to see the bad side of your mind. In other words, the unwholesome nature of the mind. And they are called obsessional defilements. So when you have obsessional defilements, you don't do anything wrong physically or verbally, but in your mind, you know, I'm not a good person. You have all sorts of lustful thoughts and all sorts of aversion thoughts and all sorts of uh, suspicions and agitations and worry and sloth and torpor. So those type of things will be there. So that's the nature of the mind. That they are the defilements in the mind. So these defilements, third party can't see. But you will be having an opportunity to see that, provided, as I said earlier, you have some management, you have some monitoring, you have some supervision over your physical and verbal deeds. You can see the mind only when the physical and verbal deeds are at bay. So, in other words, this is basically applicable for a practitioner. So the people who are just running their daily chores without any involvement in Dhamma, I'm not quite sure whether they will be able to relate to these obsessional defilements. Even if they are, they will be able to relate it academically, not practically, not experience-wise. So that is the second level of defilements. And the third level of defilements is what we are talking here, anusaya or underlying tendencies, or some call it even mental corruptions. So anusaya, the nature of anusaya, nature of underlying tendency is that even you don't know that it is an underlying tendency or that it is a defilement. Only when you tell to the teacher, teacher will know that he's going in the wrong direction. Because they are coming in a cunning way, in a perverted manner. Comes as the son or comes as a good person, but his agenda is just to steal everything at home or to rob or to murder the person. So it's like that. It's coming with the mask of a good person, but underlying what happens is it is not doing any good for you. So therefore, these underlying tendencies or mental corruptions cannot be identified by the practitioner. They can be identified by the teacher, and if the teacher is practicing mindfulness. And there are these perversions. Um, uh, if I give some examples, when Venerable Anuruddha once told Venerable Ananda, no, not Venerable Ananda, Venerable Sariputta, that he is having the ability of psychic powers, and he is able to, he is having a lot of energy to practice. And also, he said one more thing I don't remember. Then, when Venerable Sariputta heard this, he said, "You are saying you are having energy to practice, but by the by looking at the way you are telling it, and from what you do, it looks to me that you do, rather than having the energy, you are having the defilement of excitement about the future, agitation about the future, and you have identified that as a big energy that you have to practice." So far as the practitioner is concerned, he thinks it is, he is so devoted and he is practicing, but the teacher sees that he is going a bit too far. And similarly, when he said that I have psychic powers and I can read others' mind, then he said, you have the ability, yes, that's good, but you are pondering it too much. You are excited about it too much, and which means you have the underlying tendency of comparison, underlying tendency of conceit. Your mind is trying to tell you are more superior than others. So therefore, what I want to tell you is these underlying tendencies are coming in a cunning way. So loving kindness may appear, or hatred may appear in the form of loving kindness. Things like that. So these underlying tendencies, there are few of them. That's the list I recited a little while ago. Lust, underlying tendency. Lust comes in the form of, in a perverted manner. You don't know. It may be, you may think, you may say that I am able to be with the object for such a long time. So which means you are too attached to the object. So things like that. I'm just giving an example. And similarly, aversion may come in a perverted manner. You may be expressing loving kindness to someone simply because you can't beat him. So like that, they will have aversions in that, or other perversions in that. Similarly, Dittanusaya, or the underlying tendency of views, you may have reached a particular level of the practice, and you are so happy about it that you are in that particular level. And of course, it is an attachment, it is an achievement. But if you are so happy about it, what simply happens is you create yourself, you create the self view about your own achievement. So when that happens, when the teacher is listening to you, teacher will understand self is being created with the achievement. So the person will not be able to exactly see that he is having an underlying tendency. Similarly, underlying tendency to skeptical doubt, when it may appear as a knowledge. So you may say that in so and so discourse it is mentioned in this manner, in so and so discourse it is mentioned in this manner. So therefore, it has to be like that. So by looking at it, yes, it is as per the discourse, but indirectly, the mind may be having a thought that, or mind may be trying to simply tell that what teacher is telling you is wrong, and he's not directly telling that, but he's just quoting few things from the discourses. So therefore, that person does not know that mind is trying to generate some perplexities in the mind or doubts in the mind, but the teacher will be able to see that. And this usually happens when the practice is developing. When the practice is developing, our mind will bring so many things, will appear so many things as a knowledge, but it simply is giving a doubt only in the mind. And last time we discussed about underlying tendency of conceit, and we discussed three of them: superior conceit, and equal conceit, and the inferior conceit. So in these things, what happens is, in superior conceit, you think that you are much better than the other people, and these things happen again. It comes as a knowledge, and it comes as sometimes wisdom, and when the practice is developing, and conceit may come in the form of selflessness. So you think that you have achieved so much, and you may be working in such a way that helping everybody, uh, trying to show that you are selfless. But what actually works is underneath, not that you are selfless, you are trying to show off. I mean, the innocent person does not know that it is happening. So similarly, or when you have superior conceit, you may do certain things as a meritorious deed, but underneath in the mind, you may be trying to be a better person, to show others, compare yourself with others, and show that you are doing better. So this is why, especially in Sri Lanka, when some donation is done, some good work is done in the temple, they put their name. So that is because they want to say that they have done it. So therefore, it comes as a conceit. But although the conceit, we are talking about conceit here, should not worry much about conceit, because it is a defilement that will get eradicated after long, long time. So there are a lot of other defilements that we have got to talk about before talking about conceit. But anyway, since we have the topic, and we just try to understand about it. And similarly, next one is equal conceit. And when you have equal conceit, it may be you will not um, try to show off, but you will be considering everyone is equal to you. Maybe someone who is not equal to you will be considered, someone inferior to you may be given superior treatment, someone superior will not be given required respect. So that happens because of equal conceit. You think you are equal to everybody. And the inferior conceit is becoming so obliging, respecting everyone, respecting those who should not be respected. And that is because of inferior conceit or hinaman. So these are the things that we discussed last time. And all these things I just discussed as the summary has been discussed for quite some time. Has been discussed at length in the past. I'm sorry. So if you want any details, you can listen to the previous talks I have done, and they are available in our YouTube in the English section under Madu Pindika Sutta or the Honey Ball Sutta. So today's topic is Bhavaraga Anusaya, or underlying tendency to desire for being, a desire for being. Bhava means it is a state that you would like to be in. When we say, for example, when we get through an exam, we become somebody. When we get a degree, we become somebody. So like that, we have that nature of becoming somebody, becoming a doctor, becoming an engineer, becoming an accountant, becoming a lawyer, becoming master degree holder, PhD holder, and all these things, all these becomings are bhava. And when you have attachment to it, then it becomes bhava raga, underlying tendency to desire for being. We have a desire for being. So therefore, in when you work in offices, you have grades, right? So it's the same position, and they will call senior, junior, or they will level it, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and 100 levels. But it's the same job. We try to we get caught up in it, and we try to go to the next level always, and do all the what do you call um, um, development requirements, continuing practicing, what do you call it, CPD, continuing professional development requirements will be fulfilled. And I remember when I was working at the appraisal assessment time, I said, I am happy where I am. So they were horrified to see that statement, and they gave me a list of things that I will have to do. So the year after, that assessment was horrible, because every week they asked me to go to this, go to that. And then after that, at the end of that year, I said, I want to become so and so. I want to become so and so. And there was no headache of going for, those short courses that they are running. So anyway, what I want to say is we have it's in our systems. It is in all the systems. The bhavaraga, or attachment, a desire to become somebody, has been embedded everywhere. So what happens is, when we practice mindfulness, we start seeing this. And blessed one has understood. He has not taken, the examples that I just took. He has taken, in broad sense, he has put everything that is available usually in the world as sensuous existence, or sensuous becoming, or sensuous being. So all what we do to satisfy our faculties, in other words, our eye, ear, nose, throat, body, mind, all what we do by studying and by working, by running a business, by doing everything, what we try to do is to satisfy our sense faculties. So anything that we do for such becoming, maybe in the office, maybe in studies, or maybe at home, maybe in the society, maybe anywhere else, he has put everything as sensuous existence, or sensuous becoming, or sensuous being. In Pali, we call it kama bhava. You have a tendency to become someone in the sensuous field. So kama bhava is the first category that the blessed one has identified. And the second category is the fine material being, or fine material existence, or fine material becoming. We call it rupa bhava. And the next one is arupa bhava. which is immaterial becoming or immaterial existence or immaterial being. So, if I may explain, I think everyone understand what Kama Bhava is. And for you to understand Kama Bhava, you will have to again all this desire for being can be understood or can be spoken about only to someone who is practicing mindfulness, or only to someone at least who is practicing so-called meditation. So meditation per se is not mindfulness, but if someone is doing some sort of meditation, then for such people, we can talk about this underlying tendency to become somebody. Desire for being can be discussed. Because for other people who are in the sensual world, running their families, running their businesses, and running up and down to satisfy only the sense faculties, they will absolutely have no clue of what we are talking about. But if someone is practicing a little bit, or at least interested in doing that, then with such people, we will be able to talk about uh, talk about the desire for being. So when someone is practicing, and you have now today practiced mindful walking and mindful sitting, and when you are doing that, what happens is there will have so many thoughts, there will have so many internal dialogues, there will have so many chatter going on about the things that you will have to do, about the things that you have done in the past. So all these things are trying to take you for some satisfaction of your sense faculties. So all these things are coming up because now you are not in the sensual world. In those particular moments, in those particular thought moments, you are not satisfying your eye, you are not satisfying your ear, you are not satisfying your tongue, you are not satisfying your nose, you are not satisfying your body. And since you are not satisfying these sense faculties, and the desire that the mind is having to take you there is being highlighted. So therefore, um, the mind is giving those thoughts, right? So therefore, when those things are appear, we call them kama chanda, means your desire for sensuality. So desire for sensuality is coming up because you have the desire for being a sensuous desire for sensuous being, desire for becoming a sensuous person, desire for sensuous existence exists. That is why you have the liking towards the sensuality. Right? So, but if you are not practicing, if you are not doing walking, if you are not doing your sitting practice, then it's a different story. You don't know whether this exists or not. You will keep on satisfying your sense faculties. You have no opportunity to see what is underneath. Right? So, therefore, when those things are coming and when they are severe, then Blessed One says, it is our desire for being. And the worst part is, this becomes more prominent when the practice develops to a very great extent as well. And if you have developed your practice, even if you have achieved this desire, underlying tendency to desire for being will come up. If I may give an example, once when the Blessed One was meditating, he has had a thought that it is in vain, it is very unjustified that the king is taking so much of taxes from these poor peasants, and he is having a luxurious life, but when the citizens are suffering so much. And this thought came to Lord Buddha, who has enlightened without a teacher after sacrificing so many eons, after making perceptions for so many eons, he still had this thought. So this is directly a sensuous thought. It has got nothing to do with managing a country, thinking about the tax system. Why it is coming is, even if, although he has become Lord Buddha, the mind has not given up. Mind is trying to bring those desires and trying to see whether this person can be pulled towards the sensuality once again. So if mind is trying to see whether he will give up the robe and go to the kingdom and tell the father that I have come back and give me the kingdom and I will run the kingdom. And mind is trying that. So if that is happening to Lord Buddha, what about us? This will happen to us as well. So when these things happen, what the Blessed One says is, when those thoughts will go, but if you are not delighted in them, if you don't welcome them, if you don't hold on to them, these are coming as very, very weak thoughts. These are desperate attempts of the mind for us to derail us, derail our practice. But if you don't delight in them, and if you don't welcome them, and if you don't hold on to them, then Blessed One says that becomes the end. So these things should appear when you practice, and you should simply observe that it is coming. And if simply you don't try to push them away, you don't try to shoot them and bombard them and destroy them. No, you let them come and simply observe. And when you observe, mind knows that the mind is naked, so it runs away. You can catch the behavior of the mind red-handed. So once it is done, once that happens, not immediately, not once, not with the first observation, but when you do that observation for some time, it loses the strength of the mental proliferations that goes on. So these are coming as mental proliferations. So similarly, the Rupa Bhava is not a thought process as such. And I mean, I can't exactly say that it is not a thought process. It also turns out to a thought process. So once you have gone beyond Kama Bhava, and if you bring your attention to the body, and if you are able to be with your so-called breath, or be with your walking for a long time, and then you will be gradually bringing your mind to the body. So when the mind comes to the body, you naturally forget the sensual world. And you naturally not only forget the sensual world, you don't get sensuous thoughts as well. Because you are with the body and you are so happy with the body, you are so relaxed with the body, you are so serene with the body, you have so much of rapture, you have so much of ease, you have so much of serenity, and then you start loving that more than the love you had to your sense faculties or to satisfy the senses. Because after giving up those things, you get even better becoming. So you start hanging on to it, and you start trying to maintain that. And if you have a thought process that develops your being with such a state, it becomes Rupa Bhava, or you call it fine material being, or fine material becoming, or fine material existence. And this happened before Buddha. This happened before Buddha. There were people who were really practicing very hard. They have been practicing giving up everything. And although they have given up everything and practiced so well, practiced so energetically, once their attention comes to the body, there was no Buddha to tell them what to do. So therefore they thought this is the best that anyone can go, and they were hooked into the fine material realm or fine material existence. And they were considering, they were attached to such becoming so much. So since they were attached to such becoming so much, then they were not able to become an arahant or become an enlightened being. Now here we are talking underlying tendency to desire for being as a fine material existence. So this happened when we practice as well. Now what we practice is to keep the mindfulness to the fore. We keep the mindfulness in the driving seat. In other words, our practice is just to be a choiceless awareness, just to maintain choiceless awareness, just to become a choiceless observer. But when we come to such a state of so much of serenity and so much of calmness, so much of peace, and the tendency that the mind is having to get hooked onto such rapture will come forward. And when you provide your report, you may say, Bhante, my practice is going so well. I met someone, it is of course a monk, someone who recently ordained. He came and told me when I came from Sri Lanka, he told me, Bhante, my practice is going so well. And I asked him, why you are not joining us these days? He said, my practice is going so well. I asked, who said? Then he did not have an answer. So this is what our mind does. It will try to make you delight in that achievement that you have had. It's of course a good achievement because you have come out of the sensuous realm, sensuous being. But now mind is trying you to delight in the fine material realm. Oh, welcome that and expect that. Hold on to it. And then when that happens, although you know, now for people who are practicing mindfulness, although you know you will have to be choicelessly aware, the mind will try in a perverted way to say that this is the state that I have got to be in, and that we can see that when you present a report, when someone present a report, and if they say, Bhante, and this is so going so well, and I am in such a so and so state, and I just continue to practice every day. So by hearing the report, the teacher will be able to understand what is in between the lines, and then show him that there will have a possibility that you are hooked up here. So it is no problem you are going to such a rapturous situation, but just be aware. Just remind yourself that you are in calmness, that you are in serenity. Don't hate it. Don't try to avoid it. Go there and be aware. So when you simply become aware, you will not be so-called delight. You will not delight in it. You will not welcome it. You will not hold on to it. Because you simply become aware, you know that you are there, and you remind yourself, yes, I am aware. Yes, I am aware. Yes, I am aware. So the mind will not have an opportunity to make you delighted in it. If you give the mind an opportunity, then mind will gradually wrap you around that. So therefore, when you are in such situations, to take that opportunity away, you will have to remind yourself that you are aware. So then the mind loses the opportunity to wrap you around, and then you will be in a fine material realm, but there is no underlying tendency since you are not delighting in it. And similarly, although the time is up, similarly, there will, once you are not getting hooked up in rapturous situations and the calm and serene situations, when you have your attention to your body, your breath, or your walking, there will have a situation when you practice, you are walking, but you don't feel your legs. You don't feel your body. You may be simply walking like a puppet. And especially it is even more obvious when you do your sitting practice. There will have situations you don't feel your body at all. So when you don't feel your body, and if you are not suspicious about it, if you don't you open eyes and see, if you don't touch your body and see whether all the parts are there, and if you simply sit without looking for anything, without being afraid or without suspecting what's going on, then it is an indication that you have gone beyond fine material realm. And maybe for few thought moments, not forever, but for few thought moments, you have developed the skill to go beyond the fine material realm. So when you go beyond fine material realm, you call it immaterial existence or immaterial becoming or immaterial being. So this state is even more soothing, even more attractive, because you don't have any problem from anything. If you have the tendency to become a sensuous being, then you have problems from those sensuous faculties, sensual faculties. And if you are in fine material realm, you have problems from the fine material. But if you don't have even the fine material, there is nothing for you to give any issue, any problem, any friction. So the friction in the immaterial realm is very, very less. So therefore, a lot of people prefer, some people prefer, not a lot of people, some people, when they get there, they get scared and they open eyes and they do all sorts of horrible things. But some people, when they get used to it, and they start loving it. And when they start loving it, they think it's a very good state. Some people may even think that they are enlightened because they don't feel the body and they can be in that state for long, long time. And this happened before Buddha. You know ascetic Asita's story. You know the story of Uddaka Putra. So all these people were in this arupa bhava or immaterial existence, and they were having a desire for the immaterial existence. So when they went there, they concluded that this is the end. No being will be able to go beyond. So therefore, this is me. And as soon as they did that, they were caught up in the immaterial realm. So these things are not coming as a defilement. These things are coming as an achievement. So since these things are coming as achievement, and if the Buddha's word is not heard, to be mindful even for that, you will be caught up in underlying tendency to desire for being. So this is a very deep topic. I have tried my level best to explain it to the best of my ability for you to understand. Even if you don't understand, there is absolutely no harm. Only the message that you take from here is no matter what happens in your practice, you will have to simply be aware that particular state. When you become aware of that particular state, you will not be delighted in that state. You will not welcome that state. You will not hold on to that state. As a result, underlying tendency for anything, maybe lust, maybe aversion, maybe views, maybe perplexity, or anything else, will maybe conceit, all these will gradually fade away. So may your practice develop to such a state to go away from so-called underlying tendencies and be able to understand this profound, deep, hard to perceive Buddha's teaching. Blessings. I would like to ask whether there is any question, any point to discuss, any report. Since there are a few newcomers, don't worry. Don't think that it is a stupid question. Every stupid question is a question of the humanity. This is what my teacher told me. So there is no question which is stupid. So anybody having anything? I've received a question. So let me share a drawing that he has sent so that we can discuss that. So someone practicing with me has sent this drawing. Can you all see that?
Just one second.
Yeah, okay. So you can clearly see he's showing the progress on the x-axis and on the y, am I right? I have forgotten those things as well. On the y-axis, he's showing the time and he's drawing a line for progress expectations, which is a very linear straight line. And then actual progress, it's below the progress expectation. And after a point, it is beyond the expectations. So he has identified the area which is below the progress expectation as valley of disappointment. So this is his explanation of what is going on. So let me read what he has sent. He says, this seems to be a relatable Swamin answer. I feel like this is why I have not fully embraced the practice. There is, I don't know, there is a bit of intuition that something has changed, but I feel like I still am in the valley of disappointment made from AUC. I don't know, it may be something that is the actual practice or whatever it is, actual progress versus expected progress. Seems to me the only refuge here to break through this valley is Saddha, which is the faith, especially towards the current practice of choiceless awareness. Within brackets is saying, inner voice says, the blessed one has mentioned that you can do latest, you can become an enlightened being in 7 years. So why not give it a shot? So this is his report. It's rather a report, it's a question he's putting forward. Now, this is something that happens when you practice, when you start your practice, because we have so much of we are used to achieving targets. To achieve targets, we are doing everything that is available under the sun. So therefore, when we practice, although we say choiceless awareness, that choiceless awareness attitude will not stay in your mind for more than 1,000th of a second. It is something that is so easily being thrown away, kicked off by the mind. So therefore, you will have expectations even in the practice. And when you have expectations in the practice, naturally, when you have an expectation, it naturally follows the non-reaching of the expectations. So you naturally become disappointed. So therefore, my teacher says, always have an appointment with the disappointment. So when you have an appointment with the disappointment, nobody will be able to make you disappointed because you expect that your expectations will not be met, whatever said and done. So therefore, but it is easier said than done because we are geared to achieving things. So the bottom line is, whatever you do, because of these expectations, you will have worry, you will have value of what? Value of disappointment. When you have the value of disappointment, what you will have to do is, you will have to simply be aware of that. When you are simply aware of it, what you are seeing in the value of disappointment is the first noble truth. Even in the practice, at the very outset, all what you see is suffering. Because our mind that has been used to achieving things, achieving expectations, and accomplishing goals, will see that you don't accomplish anything. So therefore, they will have a value of disappointment. Buddha said, this is an eternal truth. Suffering is an eternal truth. So you will have to get used to accepting it. To get used to accepting it, he has given a very simple technique. Just be aware that you are disappointed. Although you are disappointed, the mind cannot take away your skill to be aware of the disappointment. Nothing can take that away. That skill cannot be taken even at the time of the time of the death. Even when you die, you can be aware of the death. So it's such a powerful thing. It's a skill that we develop. No matter what happens, we can be aware of it. When you become aware of it, you don't draw graphs. You simply accept it. When Buddha was teaching, he has taught the best knowledge available in the universe. And my teacher says he has not at least used a chalk to explain things. Now we have slides, we have slide shows, we have projectors, we have internet, we have Zoom, we share things, and we have video clips, audio clips. With all that, still we are struggling. And we are complaining about so-called value of disappointment. Value of disappointment is the first one the blessed one said. So you have reached there, but still you're hating it. So if you accept that, naturally your actual progress will go above your expected progress. And so far as the progress is concerned, in this practice, don't expect anything when you practice, because it is choiceless awareness. Having an expected progress means you are choosing something and you are digging your own grave. So it's choiceless awareness. No matter what comes, you simply become aware of it. So that is what I will have to share with you, that report. The person who has given the report is not here. Anyway, I will send the report to him. So anybody else is having any question, please? So if you don't have any question, I will not be able to relate to you. So this is the reason why I'm asking whether you have anything to comment. So if nothing is there, since it is a bit late in Brisbane, we can conclude the session. So to conclude the session, I think Kusal is here. I will share the paper and kindly request Kusal to recite. So today we have practice for 1.5 hours and then listen to a talk and discussed a question on the practice. With that, we have generated quite a bit of positive energies. So may those positive energies be with you, and may you